All right, Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. All right, brother Marquard's coming back with another quick video. All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai. Right, Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, and Yahushai being the name of His only begotten Son, who the world will call Christ. All right, Shalom to the saints scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom to all the brothers and sisters that's putting in labor, putting in work for the Most. I know the children that's doing likewise. And shalom to all the sincere sheep, right, in the nation. So in this video, as you can see in the title, right, the video's listed as consistency, diligence, and endurance. And I was meditating on this not too long ago on the power of consistency and how consistency is something key to our salvation. First and foremost, right, we uphold consistency, diligence, and endurance. That's key to our salvation personally. Individually rather. And then two, in your personal everyday life, you have to apply consistency, diligence, and endurance. And that's something that we need as a people. The kingdom of heaven, that comes through consistency in what you do right now. Increasing, that comes through diligence in what you're doing right now. And endurance, likewise, that all that is synonymous one with another. And shalom to all the saints as well that's on the live and that will join the live. Most I will. So I want to kick it off with Titus 2 and 7, right? I want to kick it off with the book of Titus, chapter 2, and verse number 7. And it reads, "In all things, shewing thyself a pattern of good works." It says, "In doctrine, showing uncorruptness, gravity, and sincerity." So the point I want is that first part, it says, "In all things, showing thyself a pattern of good works." So the Most I said, we want this truth. When you going through this world, when you going through life, you have to have a pattern of good works. What's significant about a pattern is that it's a cycle that never ends. All right, it may be a shape, it may be, it could be whatever. But whatever that pattern is, it never fails. If a pattern is going through loops, it's going to always go through loops, and that's that pattern because it's going to be consistent with that. God said we also have to have a pattern. We have to follow a pattern. But that pattern has to be good works. What's good? The laws and commandments of the Most High. So if we want the kingdom, if you want to see some type of increase, if you want some type of, just increase. If you want to grow in the spirit, God said you have to apply pattern of good works. If a pattern never ends, that's consistency right there. Are you reading 2 Peter, the first chapter, all the good works that you can do? Romans, the 5th chapter, verse 3 on down. It shows the different works and patterns that we have to apply as a people. All right, let's go to the book of 1 Chronicles 9 and 33. Even our fathers, namely the Levites. See how the priesthood was set up, for brothers that may not know how the priesthood was set up. It was set up for the tabernacle to always have work in the 24/7. All right, the work in the tabernacle never ceased. All right, it wasn't a 7 a.m. shift to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 12-hour shift, and then that was it. It was no work, and then they waited till the morning. No, in the tabernacle, that work was going 24/7. You had priests that had the different courses, the different time of when they would go in and when they would go out. But the tabernacle in itself and the work they're in, that was continually going 24/7. So this First Chronicles chapter 9 and verse number 33. And it says, "And these are the singers, chief of the fathers of the Levites, who remaining in their chambers were free, for they were employed in that work day and night." So it said the priest was doing the work and it was employed therein day and night. That's 24/7 right there. They didn't have, off days, and they didn't have, they had days where they was off, but they didn't have breaks from the tabernacle. Again, they had their respective course, but there was never a time where the tabernacle was just no work going on therein. And likewise with us, we're a spiritual altar, we're a spiritual tabernacle to the Most High. Let's get that real quick. And Isaiah, I think I said Isaiah 19. Let's show that real quick. How we're spiritually the altar of the Lord. And we read Leviticus 6:13. The Lord said, "The fire shall ever be burning upon the altar; it shall never go out." Again, we are that spiritual altar through the Spirit. So this is Isaiah chapter 19 and verse number 19. "In that day there shall be an altar, Slakin, an altar to the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt, a pillar at the border thereof to the Lord." So the Most High said that, in the land of Egypt and our captivity is going to be an altar. And who's that altar? That's the nation of Israel. All right, it's not a physical Egypt. It's not a physical altar. We're that altar. Egypt represents captivity. We're going to be in captivity serving the Most High. So we're that altar. Even when you read in First Corinthians, 3:16. Let me get that real quick as well. Just showing how Israel is likened, and us as individuals are likened unto, certain aspects of the house of the Lord, the tabernacle, temple, things of that nature, right? This First Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 16. It says, "Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy." Right? So we're that temple. Now we're a temple, and we know according to the law, it has to be work in a temple 24/7. That means we have to have that same aspect applied to us. We have to be on fire, fervent, consistent, diligent, and be in the spirit of endurance 24/7. It can't be a time where you like today's cool, lukewarm, slothful, stagnant. And the thing is, those things happen. All right, because you in the flesh. We in the flesh. Those things happen. There's gonna be times where you feel stagnant. There's gonna be times where you get slothful and like today's cool. But you never want that fire to go out. And I was talking to a brother, I met a man yesterday or 2 days ago, and we was talking about, that topic. And the brother said, he made a good point. It's easier to keep a fire going versus when the fire goes out for you to rekindle it all over again. You never want your fire to burn out. Brother, for brothers and those sisters that kept tabernacles, it's cold outside, you have to keep that fire going. And that fire, it'll be high at one point. It's going. That fire may get a little low, but you never want that fire to go out. You want that fire to be consistently burning, always. And that's how it was on a carnal level in the temple, and that's how we have to be. Your fire may get a little low, or it may even spark a little bit, but you never want your fire to go out. Your spirit has to be on that consistent path of endurance. Let's go to First Chronicles, the 24th chapter, right? Because we just touched on the priests. Let's go to First Chronicles 24. I'm gonna start at verse number 1. First Chronicles 24 and 1. It says, "Now these are the divisions of the sons of Aaron. The sons of Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and Eleazar and Ithamar. But Nadab and Abihu died before their father, and had no children. Therefore Eleazar and Ithamar executed the priest's office." Right? This is recounting the time of Leviticus chapter 10. All right, Aaron had 4 sons. And if you come from the seed line of Aaron, you will be a high priest, and you will minister with the most holy things. All right, we read Leviticus 10, 2 of his sons died because they offer strange fire upon the altar. Now, David, David is, for lack of better terms, in First Chronicles 24, he's revamping the priesthood to make it more sufficient for the work. So verse 3, it says, "And David distributed them, both Zadok, the sons of Eleazar, and Ahimelech, the sons of Ithamar, according to their offices and their service. And there were more chief men found of the sons of Eleazar than of the sons of Ithamar. And thus were they divided among the sons of Eleazar of the house of their fathers." It says, "In 8 among the sons of Ithamar according to the house of their fathers." Right, so you had certain men with the priesthood split. You had some that was under Zadok, right, which goes back to Eleazar, and you have some under Ahimelech, which goes back to Ithamar. And again, he had this priesthood set up and he revamped it so that the work in the tabernacle can run sufficiently, so the work therein can never cease. All right, I'm going to jump down to verse 19. Right, when we read this chapter, it goes into the different, names. Verse 19, it says, these were the orders of them and their servants to come into the house of the Lord according to their manner, under Aaron their father, as the Lord God of Israel had commanded them. So again, you read that chapter, you see each priest had his respective office and his course and his time. We have to go into the tabernacle and go out. Again, we are that temple. We are that tabernacle. We have to make sure that we're in this thing consistently, constantly, 24/7. Again, that's not something that's easy. Being on fire for all the days of your life, that's not easy. But it has to be done. That's consistency. That's diligence. That's endurance. And that's what we need if you want the kingdom. Even if you want to succeed in life, you got personal goals. You have to have consistency, endurance, and diligence. Because motivation only goes so far. So you can be motivated in this truth, but motivation only goes so far. Because that motivation eventually dies down. After that motivation, what else you got? You got to have that drive. You got to have that hunger, that want to still want to serve the Most High. Sometimes that motivation got to be rekindled. We read the precepts. You remember the promises. We remember the latter end. You have to have that rekindled. So even your motivation, that's only going to drive you so far. Your faith has to finish off the rest. Let's go to the book of Sirach 11 and 20. So again, like the precept we opened up with, we want to have a pattern of good works. All right, Sirach chapter 11 and verse number 20. It says, be steadfast in thy covenant, and be conversant therein, and wax old in thy work. It said, be be conversant, meaning know what you're doing, and wax old in your work. He didn't say wax for a couple days, couple weeks, couple years. If you're a young man, if you're a middle-aged man, if you're an older man, you should be waxing old in your work. Chiefly, this work is the work of the Lord. No matter what age you came into this truth, and you may be old when you came in. Guess what? Wax old in his work still. All right? You may be young when you came into this thing. Lord said, don't leave out this truth, wax old. Again, even personal goals. You may have something that you have set on your mind. You want to start a business, or you want to get a certain job. You want to have certain credentials. Hey, look, you work towards that. You wax old in your work. See, these scriptures is also made for practical wisdom and knowledge to succeed in life as well. That's what also Jay got to remember. All right, first and foremost, of course, we apply these to this on a spiritual level, getting the kingdom, grinding for the Most High. But also, you want to make sure that you're not neglecting the practical wisdom that is also feeding us. So I'm going to read that again. It says, be steadfast in thy covenant. Of course, a covenant is like a contract, a promise. We were given a covenant from the Most High on Mount Sinai from Moses. Read Exodus, the 18th chapter, the 20th chapter, the 19th chapter. That's that covenant that we was given. It says, and be conversant therein. Again, and wax old in thy work. All right, let's go to Sirach 51:30. Again, that's consistency. Waxing old, doing the same things. Growing and increasing. Sirach 51 and verse number 30. It says, work your work betimes, and in his time, he will give you your reward. So as you applying Sirach 11 and 20, and you're working, you laboring, you also have to remember that as you work your work by times, the Most High, he'll reward you when it seems fit for him. When the Most High feel like, you're eligible for that reward, he'll give you that reward. All right, the Most High is not an unjust God, where he see you putting in work, he see you keeping the commandments, the laws, the statutes, the ordinances, and he just turn a blind eye and bless the next brother that was wicked. Now, the Most High said he'll even, as long as you working your work, as long as you doing what you got to do, that's what he really saying. All right, that's really what he's saying. As long as you doing what you got to do, you working your work by times, he'll give you a reward when he deems fit, it's ready for you. All right, I'm going to read that again. Work your work by times, and in his time, he will give you your reward. Let's go to Proverbs 30. I mean, Psalms 30, rather. Psalms 30 and verse number 4. All right, it's Psalm chapter 30 and verse 4. It says, sing unto the Lord, O ye saints of his, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. For his anger endureth but a moment, and his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. So, we read Psalm the 30th chapter, it's a Psalm of David, right? He said, weeping, that may endure for a night, which represents chastisement. See, the nighttime represents affliction, chastisement, and utter darkness, right? You read that in Job, the 10th chapter, verse 22, and you read that in John, the 3rd chapter. All right, I believe that's verse 19 on down. All right, you see how men love this dark, wicked, sinister world. So I'm gonna read that again in verse 5. It says, for his anger endureth but for a moment, and his favor is life. Weeping, which is sorrowfulness, mourning, a low estate. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. To look forward to that joy. The morning time, the sun, the light, that all represents the wisdom of Yahweh. Or you read that in Revelation, the 22nd chapter, verse 1 on down, chapter 21. I want to say verse 20 on down, all throughout the Bible. You read about how that light, that sun, represents the wisdom of the Most High, the wisdom of Yahweh, this truth. So as weeping come, or as joy comes in the morning, you have to look forward to that. But in order to look forward to that and be confident that you're going to receive that light and that joy and that sun, you have to put work in right now. See, right now is that nighttime where it's weeping. If you want to, get down in your feelings, or you want to get like today's code, you want to, go back in the world, you want to get slothful, you're not going to receive the joy that comes in the morning. But through your consistency right now, putting in that work right now, that's what's going to get you to see that sun. So again, everything goes back again to consistency, diligence, endurance. You have to have those three if you want to succeed. If you want to get the kingdom, if you want to grow, you have to have those three aspects. And when we going over the scriptures, that God teaches that. All right, the Most High, he teaches that. So let's go to Genesis 26. Go to Genesis 26. And let's start at verse number 12. All right, this Genesis chapter 26 and verse number 12. It says, then Isaac sowed in the land and received in the same year an hundredfold, and the Lord blessed him. So it said Isaac, he got an increase from the Most High. He sowed in the land and he received an hundredfold. Verse 13, it says, and the man waxed great and went forward and grew until he became very great, for he had possession of flocks and possession of herds and a great store of servants, and the Philistines envied him. So we read Genesis 20, read how the Most High blessed Isaac with abundance. Now, there's no account of Isaac always having abundance. As a matter of fact, Abraham, he was rich. Abraham was rich. There's no account of Abraham giving all of his possessions to Isaac. Abraham, I believe he had 8 sons. Isaac got to get it on his own, man. He got to work, labor. It said he sowed in the field, and in the same year he reaped an hundredfold. That's labor right there. And in the midst of that, the Philistines, they was watching him, envying him, plotting against him. Same way how when you try to grow, when you try to increase, these spirits, they do that to you. Like plotting on you. They're sending an anger demon upon you, get in the fall. Lust demon, get in the fall. Irritation spirit, get in the fall. Seeing all these spirits and all these arrows shooting at you, like how you read in Ephesians the 6th chapter, you got Satan and his darts shooting at you to wound you, to get you to fall out this thing. That's what the Philistines was doing to Isaac. Reading on, it says, verse 15. It says, for all the wells which his father's servants had digged in the days of Abraham, his father, the Philistines had stopped. And the Philistines stopped them and filled them with earth. Verse 16, it says, And Abimelech said unto Isaac, Go from us, for thou art much mightier than we are. So, much mightier than we. So as Isaac is working and he's laboring and he's doing what he got to do, the Philistines, they're stopping the wells, the resource with water to keep your cattle alive, keep yourself alive, keep your vineyard and your flock alive and keep them going. The Philistines, they was sabotaging this man. They was filling all his wells up with earth and dirt. All right, reading on it said, now, again, it may happen. And a carnal man, a man that's lazy, a man that's not about his work, his business, he may say, oh, man, they stopped the well. I'm going to just give up. It is what it is. Let me try something else. Let me try something new. And motivation may leave, and that's all you had. But let's see what Isaac did, right? Reading on, it says, verse 17, And Isaac departed thence, and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar, and dwelt there. And Isaac digged again the wells of water, which they had digged in the days of Abraham. So he digged again, his father. It says, And for the Philistines has stopped them after the death of Abraham. And he called their names after their names by which his father had called them. And Isaac's servants digged in the valley. So now they went somewhere else. They digged in the valley and found there a well of springing waters. And the herdmen of Gerar did strive with Isaac herdmen, saying, The water is ours. And he called the name of the well Esek, because they strove with him. So everywhere he going, he's getting some type of pushback from what he's trying to accomplish. We're trying to accomplish getting the kingdom of heaven. Are we trying to conquer the hells and affliction that life throw at us right now, to this, today? Now again, all these things that we're reading, you want to apply on a personal and spiritual level. Apply that to yourself. Apply that to the kingdom of heaven. Reaching and grabbing towards the kingdom, but obstacles and individuals and spirits hopping in your way or trying to hop in your way for you to accomplish that goal. That's what was happening to Isaac. Right, verse 21. It says, And they dig another well. So he didn't stop. He kept digging. And a man that just want to give up, he would have said, you know what, that's it on there. I tried, maybe it's the Most High. Man's going to the Lord. He probably don't want me to do it. Let me go back to doing what I was doing before. No, Isaac, he kept going. He kept digging. He didn't give up. That's consistency. That's diligence. And that's endurance, because he had to endure those trials that the Most High was putting him through. It says, And they digged another well and strove for that also. And he called the name of it Sitnah. And he removed from thence and digged another well. And for that they strove not. So eventually they stopped striving against him. He kept going, he kept digging, he kept working. They said, we can't keep stopping this, man. He's unstoppable. Let's let him have it. Let him have it. So eventually he got what he was working for. It said they strove not. And he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, For now the Lord hath made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. See, the Most High blessed him in his season. We just read in Sirach 51 and 30, work your work by times, and in his time, he will give you your reward. See, it wasn't of Isaac to get his reward back then. He had to work and grind for it. Same thing with us. You want the kingdom, everlasting life, dominion, captives, servants, preeminence. You want to see Yahushua. You want to see the Most High. You want to deal in tranquility with the people of your own race forevermore. That work has to be put in now. And if you want to receive that, the Most High give you that in his time when he deems fit. But if your works are not equaling up to the reward, you would never receive it. All right, you would never receive it. Let's go to Hebrews 3 and 17. And again, everything I'm reading and that we're going over, you can apply on a personal level. You may have personal goals that you want to reach, that you want to accomplish. Don't let this world tell you that, you can't do it. You got brothers in the truth that'll tell you that. You may say, okay, look, one of my goals is to go back to school and go to school for A, B, and C. And, that's what I want to do. I want to have this career. And, that's what it is. I want to be able to be financially stable, not knowing how long I'm going to be here, so I can make sure that people that come after me, if it be that long or for the time being, is set in or, comfortable, that we won't have to struggle. And somebody may say, well, hold on, it's carnal. All right, you gotta struggle, you gotta suffer, you gotta be poor in this life. Well, hold on now. We just read Abraham. He had an abundance. I mean, Isaac. He had an abundance. Abraham and Jacob. And our fathers, you read Sirach 44:1, you read about the life that our fathers lived. It said we were rich men, men that had men of counsel, men that knew how to govern kingdoms. And it's a long list about what type of spirit that our fathers had on them. So, you also don't want to be small-minded in this truth. You want to make sure that you expand, your wisdom as well. You don't want to be just stuck in one so-called box. So this is Hebrews chapter 3 and verse, I'm going to start at verse number 17. It says, but with whom was he grieved 40 years? Was it not grieved with them that had sinned, whose carcass fell in the wilderness? And to whom swore he that they should not enter into his rest, but to them that believe not? So we see that they could not enter in because of their unbelief. Our Hebrews 3 is going into the wilderness with Moses and all the men that came out of Egypt. Only 2 men made it into the promised land that came out of Egypt. That says a lot. And when you read, that's deep, because when you really read Exodus, Numbers, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, you read about a lot of mighty men. A lot of mighty men. Moses, as mighty as he was, he never entered into the promised land. You had Phineas. He was mighty. He was zealous for the Lord. He didn't enter into the promised land. The Levites that said, I am on the Lord's side, when you read Exodus 32, none of them made it into the promised land. Why? Because they were diligent for a season. They was on fire for a season. But they didn't have the spirit of consistency to uphold that fire and that zeal, and they didn't endure ultimately. And that's why the lesson is those 3 words: consistency, diligence, and endurance. You even had Aholiab, the brother of the tribe of Judah, who actually put the work and started making the tabernacle. He didn't even make it into the promised land. Aaron and his mighty works, he didn't make it into the promised land. Moses set up a certain amount of men to help him, with the counseling and the judgments. Guess what? All those men, where were they at when it was time to enter into the promised land? It said only Joshua and Caleb made it in. That says a lot. And these were men that were on fire for the Lord. But even though they were on fire, that was for a season. We want to have that spirit of consistency and endurance. All right, Hebrews. Let's go to Hebrews 4 and 6. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 4. Let's read verse 6. It says, seeing therefore it remaineth that some must enter therein, and they to whom it was first preached enter not in because of unbelief. So some of all of them, they didn't enter into the promised land from the wilderness because of their unbelief. They believed for a season. Then what? They began to wax faint. They began to wax slothful. They began to murmur, and they did not enter in because of their unbelief. Again, I named a few. Phineas, he was extremely zealous, but we just read he didn't enter in because of his unbelief. Because of his unbelief, and that's not to say they were off; they were wicked, but you have to have consistency in this thing. And you have to have longevity. You have to have that fire always burning upon the altar, like how we talked about earlier. Us being priests in the Lord's house, us being a temple, a spiritual altar, we have to always have work that has to be done. Let's go to Proverbs 13 and 4. Go to Proverbs 13 and verse 4. It says, the soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. So a slothful man, he's not going to have nothing. But a man that's diligent, he's going to be made fat, meaning he's going to have an increase. He's going to have an abundance. He's going to grow. So you got to ask yourself, what type of man are you? What type of woman are you? And if you are the one that you don't want to be, you got to start changing. You got to start repenting. You got to start conforming your mind to the mind of Yahweh Shah, to the words of the Lord. You have to grow. You have to show forth your consistency and your pattern of good works. Let's go to 1 Kings 13. And I was meditating on this account last night. 1 Kings 13 is another account I was thinking about. On being consistent therein. Let's go to 1 Kings 13. And I'm gonna start at verse. Let me see. I'm gonna start at verse number. I'm gonna start at verse 11. Now this whole account from 11 on down was crazy. But I'm gonna just jump. All right, I'm gonna be jumping around. So this 1 Kings chapter 13 and verse 11 it says, "Now therefore dwelt an old prophet in Bethel, and his sons came and told him all the works that the man of God had done. Had done that day in Bethel. It says, the words which he had spoken unto the king, them they told also to their father." Right, so as an old prophet, he went and he spoke words to a king, and the Most High he gave this man specific directions on what to do, how to move when you're going back and forth on your journey from telling this king what I told you and then going back to your dwelling, right? So he's giving strict commandments, strict directions. I might actually grab that real quick. Let's go to verse 7, right? I'm going to read verse 9. I'm going to read 8. It says, "And the man of God said unto the king, If thou wilt give me half of thine house, I will not go in with thee, neither will I eat bread nor drink water in this place. For so it was charged by me, the word of the Lord, saying, Eat no bread, drink no water, nor turn again by the same way that thou camest. So he went another way and returned not by the way that he came to Bethel." So that was the directions that the Most High gave him. Whenever you go to this place to rebuke the king, when you go back, don't eat no bread, drink no water. It's essentially as a fast. Go on a fast, and don't take the same route back that you took on the way there. Verse 11. "Now therefore dwelt an old prophet in Bethel, and his sons came and told him all the works that the men of God had done that day in Bethel. The words which he had spoken unto the king, them they told also to their father." So they told their father, what was going on, what they seen, all the stuff that transpired. Verse 12. "And their father said unto them, What way went he? For the sons had seen what way the men of God went, which came from Judah. And he said unto his sons, Saddle me the ass. So they saddled him the ass and rode thereon. And he went after the man of God." So now after the old prophet heard this, what his sons told him, he's looking and he's searching for this man of God. It says, "And found him sitting under a note. And he said unto him, Thou art the man of God that camest from Judah? And he said, I am." I'm going to jump down. I'm going to read on. It says, "Then he said unto him, Come home with me and eat bread." Now hold on. We just read that the man of God, this prophet, he was told by the Most High, eat no bread, drink no water, and don't go the same way where you came before. And the man of God, that's what he did. So the first time we read a little bit earlier, he said no, so that was good. He's staying disciplined to what he was told by the Most High. It says, verse 16, "And he said, I may not return with thee, nor go with thee, neither will I eat bread, nor drink water with thee in this place." All right, that's the second time he let that be known. It's twice. That's a pattern of good works. He's doing well. He getting all these, temptations, and he getting tested, but he's passing them. Verse 17, it says, "For it was said to me by the word of the Lord, Thou shalt eat no bread, nor drink water there, nor turn again to go by the way that thou camest. And he said unto him, I am a prophet, also as thou art. And the angel spake unto me by the word of the Lord, saying, Bring him back with thee into thine house, that he may eat bread and drink water. And he lied unto him." So this old man, this old prophet, He had a lying spirit on him. Just being honest, he had a demon on him. He had a demon. He was lying to this man and said, well, I'm a prophet too. This angel, he came and told me, hey, look, come back to my crib, and everything that God told you, do the opposite. That's how you know it's Satan. Yeah, I know the Most High said this, but the Most High told me the direct opposite. This man, let's see what happened. Did he get beguiled? Did he rebuke him? Did he stay on that right narrow path? Let's see what happened. It says, verse 19. It says, so he went back with them and did eat bread in his house and drink water. And it came to pass, as they sat at the table, that the word of the Lord came unto the prophet that brought him back. And he cried unto the man of God that came from Judah, saying, thus saith the Lord, for as much as thou hast disobeyed the mouth of the Lord, and hast not kept the commandment which the Lord thy God commanded thee, but camest back and hast eaten bread and drunk water, in the place of which the Lord did say to thee, eat no bread and drink no water, thy carcass shall not come unto the scepter of thy fathers. And you'll read the rest of that account. The Lord set the lion to kill him. So that man of God, what we can get out of that account is that, he was consistent for a season. He resisted Satan a couple times, but he didn't endure. He wasn't diligent and holding fast to what he was told. Therefore, his latter end was death. And we have to apply that to ourselves. The Most High, he gave us strict commandments, strict directions. And if we go astray from that, our latter end is death. He got devoured by a lion. The Lord likens these other nations unto beasts, unto animals. And if you're going against the ordinance of the Most High, they will devour you. These other nations, they'll put you in captivity. They'll afflict you. Even modern day, they'll cut your check low. You got, you catch hell at work. That'll happen. These spirits will devour you. But all that comes through lack of consistency, diligence, and endurance. So we have to have these things if we want to endure in the last time. Let me get this closing precept. Let's go to Baruch 4:28. All right, let's go to Baruch. Actually, let's go to Sirach 43. I'm going to get that instead. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 43, and verse number 30. It says, when you glorify Yahweh, exalt him as much as they can, for even yet will he far exceed. And we exalt him, put forth all your strength, and be not weary, for ye can never go far enough. And no man can ever go far enough when it comes to serving the Most High. I'm going to read that one more time. It says, when you glorify the Most High, exalt him as much as ye can, for even yet will he far exceed. So even though you may glorify the Most High, you may pray and you may do what you got to do for right now, remember, the Most High, he still far exceeds. He still is worthy of 144,000 times more glory than what you just gave him. Which means that you have no choice. You really have no choice but to apply consistency, diligence, and endurance. Because there's always more you can do to glorify the Most High. It says, for even yet will he far exceed. And when you exalt him, put forth all your strength, and be not weary. Yeah, the minute you stop enduring, the minute you want to relax, take your foot off the gas, that's you being weary. God said, don't be weary. But when those spirits come upon you, that's you being weary. Make sure that your fire is burning. We read about the priesthood. First Chronicles 9:33, First Chronicles, the 24th chapter. It was always in that work. Tabernacle was something that went 24/7. The different courses of the priests going in and out. If we're at tabernacle, we have to always work. Always bring forth an offering to the Most High. It's always something that got to be done. So, reading on. It says, put forth all your strength and be not weary, for ye can never go far enough. And no man can never go far enough when it comes to serving the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'Shem Mashiach Yahushua. So with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua. All right, Most High one, that video was edifying. You took something out of it. And remember to apply these precepts to yourself as well. These more than just words on the paper. Everything that we read is spiritual. You can apply it to yourself, apply it to goals you may have, and most importantly, apply it to where you can receive these instructions to receive salvation. With that, I'm going to say, Kum Yashala, Shalom.